Hello, welcome back to another Ruby and Spy. It's been a while. Sorry, a lot of stuff has happened and I've had a bit of a, well, I'll just say a little meltdown thing, but I'll be getting there. A bit of stress and stuff, so I haven't been uploading. Anyway, I'm back again, so we'll get started. So this is Ruby and Spy. This is Season 3, Episode 52. Lance groaned softly, head bobbing upwards. He was cold and stiff, arms aching. He cracked his heavy eyelids open, vision blurry. He snapped his head up as the door slid open and someone rushed in. The blue paladin gasped, eyes watering up. "Keith!" he croaked, jerking against his building. Keith looked up at him, and then his shoulders stiffened. "Lance!" he cried, running forward. "You're alive! You're alive! I thought you were dead!" Tears built up in his dark eyes as he put his hands on Lance's face. Lance choked on a small sob, eyes stinging. How? Did you break through?" "I found a weak point in the shield and broke through. I had to get you and bring you home." He gently pet back Lance's hair. "Back to me. That's Rosaline." Lance nodded, watching as Keith stepped aside and started to pray through the cuffs, keeping Lance against the upright surface. Keith, I love you." Keith smiled. "Lance, I love you too," he gasped and jerked, hurling his moment. Lance started to shake and he looked up. His once revealed tears spilled from his eyes, chest tight. He looked back at Keith. No! Keith!" The red paladin slipped out from the corner of Keith's lips as he looked up at Lance. Lance thrusted his biting blindly as Keith collapsed, screaming, No, please." The blue paladin paused as his body clashed. He blinked a couple of times, then gasped as Keith clutched and vanished. He looked up to the soldier in the door, then jerked as he also vanished with a glitch. "What?" "Not bad for a druid's first day on the field." Lance sucked in a sudden sharp breath. An illusion?" Two figures stepped in, both dressed in druid clothing. The young human gulped, but raised his chin and clenched his fists. "What do you want with me?" The tall druid stepped forward, head tilting as he inspected the paladin. "I don't want anything. The prince, however, gave me orders, and I'm following them." "My little druid in training has to complete your first trial, paladin." "Trial?" Lance couldn't see it, but he could feel it. He smirked. Both druids had on their faces. "Trials. You will go through the trials to see how much you can take. physically, mental, all of above. For what? I have no idea, and I do not care. I just hope you suffer more than I want you to. Klance clutched his jaw, narrowing as his eyes in the glare. Get fucked. The druid hummed, then placed his hands on his back and led him out. The door shut and the lock clicked. Immediately, Klance felt sick to his stomach. He choked and gagged, but his stomach was empty. Klance wheezed and sobbed, body trembling, from the cold and from the sudden sinking feeling of fear. After, however, many hours of sleep, Corvin was dreadly and sluggish when he woke. He stared at the ceiling of the room, cold and dark. He glanced around. Then his chest tightened as he remembered that the young pan wasn't with him. Corvin groaned softly, forcing himself to his feet. He blinked his heavy eyes a few times, clenching his jaw. Softly, Corvin dragged himself to the cell door, then pressed his ear and palms flat to the cold surface. Nothing. Silence. Corvin rolled his neck and shoulders, groaning low. Quiznack. Keith woke up. Come on, buddy. Wake up. The red paladin hummed gently, tugging his hold on the two little beings curled up in his arms. One wild, tiring, nuzzling into him. Keith, come on. A large, gentle hand ran over his hair and soft patted his cheek. You can't sleep on the sofa like this. I can, Keith sighed, cracking his eyes open for a moment before closing them again. The man walked to him and chuckled. Keith, at least let me take Pike and Roz to bed. Keith shook his head, burying his nose further to the soft, curling hair. No, don't take them. All right, I won't take them. But you need to get a real bed. You can't sleep on the sofa. The red pan breathed deeply, forcing his eyes open. His eyelids fluttered and he blinked a few times, lifting his head. Shiro? The black pan hummed. Let's get you to bed. Keith nodded, understanding, shrugging. Shiro carefully took Rosalind and stood. He held out his hand for Keith and the younger to accept his help. Pike whimpered and quivered from the movement, but settled once Keith was standing. Rosalind lay limp on Shiro's chest and shoulder. She sniffed and rubbed her runny nose onto his shoulder. Shiro didn't pay any mind as he kept his attention on Keith. Keith's eyelids dropped as he dragged himself beside Shiro, arms wrapped tightly around Pike. Once they reached Keith's room, Shiro laid Rosalind down in the middle and helped Keith into bed. The red pan refused to set Pike down. Shiro carefully tucked them all in, smiling as Keith fell right back to sleep. Suddenly, Shiro left the room, silently, letting them all rest, despite it being about the afternoon. Alright, I hope you enjoy that, and I'll let you know when the next one comes out. See you then.